Hello, everybody. First live stream on Instagram. We're here with Charlie, and hello everyone on YouTube and LinkedIn and Twitter and Facebook. I'm on my laptop, not my desktop, because my desktop's misbehaving. This is an Ask Me Anything about moving house, and it's an update on the housing market influences happening at the moment in September 2022. And I am getting, and I'm delighted that I'm getting overwhelmed with comments and questions from all of you across all the channels. But there's one question that I get more than any other, which is, should I move? Should I buy? And I just want to address the whole point of this channel to anyone watching my videos. The only person who can make a decision if you should buy or move or sell now is you and you alone as the person thinking of moving. My job here is not to advise you whether or not to move, because there's a long list of influences to that decision, but to give you all the information that I think is relevant to your decision so that you can decide for yourself. For example, I think house prices are falling now. I could be wrong. We won't know for a few months until house prices are published, but I'm very confident. My 25 odd years working with estate agents and continuing to work in the trenches of the estate agency leads me to believe that this is happening. It's not just an opinion, it's based on quite a lot of information that I have. So I share my insights based on the information I have access to from within the estate agency industry. I'm not an estate agent. I have never been one. I've been a supplier to estate agents for a very long time. And so for all of you watching this, because you're wondering whether or not you should move, my job is to give you as much information as I can to help you make the decision for yourself, because it is not. Remember this, everyone, unless it's for investing purposes, which is not what this channel is about, right? This channel is about people who need homes. It's not about the money. It's about the move, not the money. The money is a consequence of the move, but it should not be your primary deciding factor. Of course, what your budget is affects whether or not you can move. I get that. But the list of factors is enormous. Is your family growing? Have you moved jobs? Have you come to an end of a relationship? Are there people you want to move away from? Are there people you want to move towards? Where are your friends? Where do you see your future? Do you want to raise kids in a city or in the countryside? All of these decisions, and where are the best schools? Where are the best jobs? Where's the best quality of life? Where's the best air quality? Where's the best internet connection? Where's the best location to live for your business if you run your own business? All of these are non-financial considerations for moving, which I and nobody else can advise you on. And you have got to work out where in your hierarchy of needs those factors come alongside the financial factors. But first and foremost, don't think that moving is about money, okay? It's a side effect of the move. And of course, it's a massive consideration. I get that. But in terms of what are house prices doing, should I buy now because of house prices or not? Well, I'm going to get into that. I'll come to that at the end of this live stream. I want to answer your questions. If you have got questions, please put them on YouTube and on LinkedIn. They will apply. But if you're watching on Twitter, you can't send me your questions live. So you might want to switch over to LinkedIn or YouTube, moving over to Charlie. But I wanted to now get into the news affecting the property market in the last few days, because there is so much of it. There's just so much of it. Excuse me while I have a sip of my coffee. So these are all facts in the news that are, I think, affect whether or not they may contribute to your decision as to whether you want to move or not. So number one today, there is an article out. And by the way, after this video has ended, I will link to every article I refer to. It'll be in the description after the end of this video. Okay, there's an article out on an estate agency news website that mortgage availability has dropped, and it's from the most highly respected Money Facts data gathering organization. And mortgage availability has dropped massively. I just need to get that information up. My computer's now behaving. And so the number of mortgage products available has fallen 27% since December. Okay. Just let that sink in. The number of mortgage products available has fallen 27% since December. And mortgage interest rates are rising at their fastest rate since 2007. Fastest monthly rate, I think they rose 0.27% or something. I can't remember. That's in this story. Now, these are all figures you can look up for yourself, right? So I'm not going to express opinions on the fact that the number of mortgage products available is falling and the cost of mortgage is increasing, and whether or not that has an effect on house prices, because I can't believe anyone's even asking that question. Honestly, if anyone out there, I get comments saying, no, house prices aren't going to fall. They're not going to fall. Could you please explain to me how, when the provision of mortgage products, which is what's needed for most people to buy property, has reduced by 25%, which means it reduces the effective demand, please tell me how that doesn't affect house prices. And when the cost of those mortgages has gone up massively, like the standard variable rate now is 5.4%. That's the average standard variable rate from this mortgage survey, is the highest for 14 years. Okay, and it's 5.4%. So if people have been used to mortgage rates of 1 point this or 2 point that percent, and it's now gone to 5.4%, that has a massive impact on how much they can borrow. How can you say that's not going to have an effect on house prices? It's just maths, guys. It's just maths. But here is the big question I want you all to ask yourself about the availability of mortgage products decreasing and the cost of mortgages increasing. Okay, here's the question. Why would mortgage providers be reducing the number of products they have available? No one ever talks about that. Why would these huge financial institutions who provide us with mortgages to go and buy properties be taking their products off the shelves? Why would they do that? Yeah. Why would they increase the interest rate? I mean, the base rate's still only 1.75%, isn't it? I think. But the standard variable rate is 5.4%. Why, guys? Could it be that the mortgage industry arguably has some of the best insight as to what's coming down the road in terms of the housing market, the economy, and house prices, and is adjusting their offering as a result? I don't know. I'm just asking the question. But why else would people who are in the business of selling mortgages be taking their products off the shelf? Okay, because they are taking on risk every time they grant a mortgage. So what does it tell you about what they think about the risks of providing mortgages now? Someone's got a question. Vince, is there any type of information on what type of product has been withdrawn? No, I haven't seen that level of detail. I will put a link to the article that's got a bit more information in it at the end of the video, so you can see for yourself. There is quite a lot of detail in that, right? So that's the mortgage information. Now, the other thing that came out that caught my attention on the news this morning was that unemployment has fallen again. Unemployment rate has fallen to the lowest since 1974. Must be great news, right? I mean, that is good. If that's true, that's good news. But if you dig into it, and I've gone to the ONS, the Office of National Statistics page, from where this information was sourced for the BBC to do this report. I found two things about how the number is calculated. One of them was a complete shock to me. I never even knew it was a thing. And the other one doesn't surprise me. So two things that they didn't mention in the news stories, and I'll link to the news stories. Number one, the number of vacancies fell by 34,000, which is around about 3%. Okay, no mention of that in the article that I heard. The number of job vacancies has started to fall, 3%. I'm not saying that's a big or a small fall. I'm simply saying the number of vacancies is falling, and that, if you look at the graph on the ONS website, which I will give you the link to, you can see that actually it's a peak. We've passed the peak of job vacancies and it's coming down. That wasn't mentioned. The other gobsmacking fact that I didn't know about how they calculate these figures, and let me read this for you. The unemployment. So I don't know about you. I had never heard of the economic inactivity rate. Just not a thing I'd ever heard of before. Because I'm not an expert here, guys. I'm not an economist. I'm just a regular guy who takes an interest in these things. The economic inactivity rate refers to people who are not employed, but not looking for work either, and they are not counted as unemployed. Okay, and that has increased by 0.4 percentage points to 21.7%. 21.7% of the available workforce are not working and not considered unemployed. I'll just let that sit with you for a minute, right? Because they are of all ages, but this says largely driven. The increase in the latest 3-month period was largely driven by those aged between 16 and 24 and those aged between 50 and 64. And the increase was driven by those inactive because they are students or long-term sick. Okay. So if you're a student, you're not counted as unemployed. And if you are sick but not working, you're not counted as unemployed in the unemployment figures. And job availability has begun to drop. Okay. You can read into that whatever you like. To me, and the headline on the BBC story was warning that post-lockdown jobs boom is ending. Okay, well, I think that's pretty true. So the point is, if people are worried about recession, this is another indicator to take into account for you to then decide for yourselves, because there was also a story about May to July, which is a weird 3-month period, but May to July, there was zero growth. Okay, now the technical definition of recession is 2 consecutive quarters with negative growth. They always revise these a few months later. And there are people out there who think that we're already in recession. I am one of them. I happen to think we're already in recession. And when the figures are looked at later on and revised and corrected, we will already be in a recession. Okay. And that's in July, which is summer holiday, and expected spending to go up. And it didn't. So I am not telling anybody what to think. I don't even tell my children what to think. I encourage everybody to decide for themselves what they think based on the available information. And I'm sure there might be other information that could persuade me otherwise, but I haven't seen it yet. And I keep asking everyone in the comments of the YouTube videos who say, oh, house prices are still going up. Where do you get that from? I can't find that information anywhere. Where is it you are getting the information that house prices aren't going down? Because I can't see it. And I keep asking everyone for the information and I just get tumbleweed. I don't get a response. Okay. Or I get, oh, the year-on-year price has gone up. Well, I've already explained that. Year-on-year prices don't mean anything if the trend has changed. Anyway, so let me answer some questions. And guys, if you're watching on Instagram, give me your questions as well. Do I think they'll reduce VAT? I don't know. Actually, that question prompts a comment I did have, which is this. Given what we know today, my opinion is that house prices have already begun to fall at the agreed stage. We won't see the evidence of that until completions are being reported some months from now. And that house prices are going to fall further because economic data is getting worse. Interest rates are going up. I think unemployment is going to go up. I think energy prices, which are not capped for small businesses, are going to put a lot of small businesses out of business. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And that's going to increase the jobless rate. I think people are already tightening their belts in anticipation of this. I think I'm right in saying that consumer credit card balances are at their highest ever. Okay, please process that, right? People are using credit cards to pay bills. Okay, that is always a precursor to something bad happening. And why would people do that? Why would you use high interest debt to pay your bills? It's because you don't have any other money. So people are now starting to live off their credit cards more. If my facts are correct, this is from memory, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. But as I understand it, UK consumer credit card balances are at a record high right now. Now, if things change, my opinion on what's going to happen to the housing market might change. Okay, so the government might pull out some absolutely radical things, and if they do, that might change things for me. But I don't have and also the war might end or it might not. That would change things. If the war in Ukraine ends, and by all accounts, I don't know if this is true or not, but the mainstream media is reporting that Ukraine's made massive gains retaking territory from Russia. But some people are worried that doesn't mean the war's going to end. It means that Russia's going to escalate it. So I don't have an opinion on that. I just listen and I try to form an opinion. But if the war were to end, that would be a massively positive thing. Energy prices and petrol prices would all come crashing down. Cost of living would come down. We might even get into deflation. Not good for economic growth. But we don't know. I don't know this yet. So at the time of recording in September 2022, my prediction is that house prices nationally, on average, which by the way, yes, is meaningless at a local level. I'll come on to that. House prices have begun falling and they're going to continue to fall. And unless major things change, I think that house prices will fall at least 20 to 25% and possibly further, depending on how world events unfold. Okay. So that's my view. So, for example, that forecast might make you more likely to want to move house based on your personal situation, or less likely to. You might, if you own your house now and you're thinking of selling, you might go, do you know what? With that uncertainty, I don't want to go through the uncertainty of moving. I'm going to stay put. So, I don't have blanket advice of whether you should or shouldn't move. That is a personal decision based on a whole list of your considerations. So, actually, guys. If I keep getting questions, do you think I should buy now? I don't know. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you live. I don't know what your reasons for buying are. So I can't answer that. It's not a question I can answer. You have to figure that out for yourself. But do I think house prices are falling? Yes. Does that mean they're falling everywhere? No. Someone sent me an anecdotal report from Tunbridge Wells in Kent yesterday saying that they've seen 2 houses that were on the market at a lower price come back onto the market at a higher price. So that must mean house prices are increasing. Okay, I don't know. Maybe they are, but I don't think 2 houses is really, and they were about the £800,000 mark again. So that's a highly localized observation. So yes, there might be places where highly desirable properties are still going for over asking price because they're worth it, because they're very rare properties. So I had an estate agent challenging me on Twitter yesterday, Simon, saying national house prices are completely irrelevant to movers' decisions. And we went backwards and forwards on this for a while because national house prices don't change individual house prices, do they? No. But my argument was that in the overall scheme of in the basket of things that you use to make your decision, the overall economic trend does impact it. And here's another reason why first-time buyers especially should be considering potential house price moves, right? Negative equity in the worst case scenario where you need to move out of your house, you need to sell it, but you can't because it's worth less than you borrowed to buy it, and you can't keep up your mortgage repayments because now the interest rate's gone back up from your fixed low rate to your high standard variable rate, you end up having your home repossessed. That is a life changer. Never mind the finances of it. Losing your home and then still being in debt to the bank for the difference between what your house is worth when they sell it and the mortgage that you borrowed from them is a noose around your neck. And I know people, and it led to their lives ending earlier than they should have. And so if you are a first-time buyer, you just need to consider the worst case scenario. And the worst case scenario is you can't keep up your mortgage payments, your house is repossessed, you lose your home, and you're saddled with the debt after that, right? Now, if you're the kind of person who can accept that risk as a worst case scenario, say, do you know what? If that happens, I'll take it on the chin and I will find a way to get through. then fine, you've accepted that worst case scenario, and you've entered into a purchase at the top of the market, knowing that that's a risk and prepared to accept that risk. And in that case, if you've got a home now, you've got a good mortgage offer that's like, you've got a nice low rate agreed and it's fixed until whatever time, and you're in a position to buy now, and you want a home now, go ahead and buy now if you've accepted the worst case scenario outcome as something that you can manage. But if you consider that outcome, that worst case scenario outcome of having your home repossessed and being saddled with a debt to the bank for a long time after that, if that is a scenario you can't envisage coping with, then I would caution very strongly against overextending yourself to buy a property now. Okay. If you've got a large deposit and you can comfortably afford your mortgage and you've got a nice long-term fixed rate, then your risks of negative equity affecting you are lower. But and some people have asked what negative equity means. You've got to be really clear, okay? When you buy a property, you borrow a certain amount and you put a certain amount in yourself, the deposit. And your deposit is your equity. And the equity, if the property value goes up, your equity in that property increases. If house prices come down, your equity decreases. Now, it may not decrease down to nothing. You might just lose some of your deposit, but there's still some equity value. If you're not moving, it doesn't matter what it does. And as long as you can afford to make the payment on your mortgage, it doesn't matter what's happened to the equity. If you're paying your mortgage and you don't want to move, okay, it's frankly irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Yes, on paper your net worth has changed, but if you're not moving, it doesn't matter. But if you need to move on in life because of a job, because your family's growing, whatever other reasons there might be, and you can't sell your house and you then lose your job because of a recession, then it becomes life-changing. And it's important to those of you who've never experienced this and don't know people who haven't lived through a downturn like this before, it's important that you are aware of that worst case scenario when you're making your decision about whether or not to buy. Okay. Now, the other factor, if you do still want to buy now, I'm not saying don't buy now. Let me be really clear, right? I'm not talking the market down. I'm not saying don't buy now. I'm saying that if you do, just make sure you don't overpay. There's a video about that. You can look at my YouTube channel. There's a video about not overpaying. Right. New messages. Hang on. What do we have here? Any more questions? Lots of comments, lots of observations. I'm just looking for questions I can answer. If you've got ask me anything, anyone. Is the London rental market booming? Yes, the London rental market is booming. And that reminds me of another point about buy-to-let landlords. There are a lot of buy-to-let landlords who are selling up now because of a forthcoming change in legislation, which will make it harder for them to regain possession of their property from a tenant. And those landlords who are bothered by that legislation are choosing to exit the market now. Now, if you're a first-time buyer, that's good news. It means there's a lot more of those type of properties coming onto the market. If you are a tenant or a renter, that is bad news because it's going to put downward pressure on rental supply and upward pressure on prices. So the rental market is booming fairly everywhere, as far as I know. I don't really have a lot of information. Charlie, if we account for inflation, who's this? Truth Speaker. Hi. If we account for inflation, isn't petrol about the same price as it has been for years? Oh, I don't know. No, I don't think so. It's jumped massively. I think it's about 30 to 40% higher than it was a year ago. That's what I think. And the other thing about where the jobs figures today is that wages, if you work in the public sector, your wage growth has been 2%. If you work in the private sector, it's 6%. But in any case, real wage growth is negative because inflation is higher than that. So people's actual income is falling by about 2.6, 2.8%, according to the articles that I've read now. Any other articles here? Guys, I don't make political comments. Just so you know, I'm not here to make political commentary. I will comment on government policies that affect the housing market, but I don't get into politics on here. True Bet Cook says, I fall into economically inactive categories. I'm over 60. have a small pension and nurse my husband who recently died. Condolences. Realistically, I have no chance of getting work at my age. Do you know what, Bet? I don't know where you are or what your background is, but there's been a marked increase in businesses hiring people at a much older age than they normally do. So if you want work, I would go out there because there's still, right now, a lot of jobs going. Okay, guys, I think I've covered what I wanted to cover today. I've got a lot of other videos to record, but I wanted to just update you on, because I'm getting so many of these questions. So let me just recap, okay? Nobody can decide whether or not you should move except you. My job here is to provide you with the information to help you make that decision. And if you need to move for non-financial reasons, then you should move. Just try not to overpay, don't overextend yourself, and make sure you accept the risks. And if you are selling, remember, nothing affects your chances of a sale more than your choice of agent. It is the most difficult and most important decision you'll make. Close second to that is your choice of conveyancer. Get conveyancing wrong, and your whole move can get completely trashed. But guys, thank you very much for joining me on another live stream. I look forward to any more comments and questions. If you've got, by all means, private questions, send them to me on private messages on Instagram, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. You can't private message me on YouTube. But thank you very much. Please share this channel with anyone that you think it might find it helpful, and keep on sending me your questions and your comments. And I've got more videos coming out soon, so I'll see you on those. Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, and good luck if you're moving.